We are here today with Kenny Sellars, and we are on Doja Cat's The Scarlet Tour. Kenny, you and I have been working together for what? Almost 10 years now.
Something like 10 years, yeah.
And what I've noticed is over the last couple of years, the footprint that you mix behind has looked pretty close to being the same, but I know there's all kinds of moving parts here. So what I want to do is just quickly digest what you're working on and tell me a little bit about your rig.
All right, I have a Yamaha Rivage PM10 using a couple of wave servers. One's redundant. I've got two computers running Live Professor. One does solely the drums. The other one is for mostly bus processing. Just a few things in Waves. Waves is the only thing that is actually following snapshots. Everything else, the two Live Professor rigs are currently just like set it and forget it. Then over here, I've got a Logic rig, and it's just for recording and virtual playback the next day. I've got 3 Bricastis for verbs, and a total of 5 Mac Minis. Here are 4 of them, and then the 5th one is running smart for me just to keep an eye on what's going on throughout the show. And then I'm using a Mio XM to send MIDI through all 5 computers, allowing me to use the console and the Stream Deck to control any one of the computers at any given time from my console.
Cool. So, over the last couple of years, I've seen a lot of people incorporating Live Professor into their rigs. What did you come out of, or is this replacing something that you've used over the years? And why am I seeing such a dramatic shift into people using Live Professor on their rigs?
So I guess it's not really replacing things as much as giving me new options to try. You can use any VST or AU plugin, and so as long as it's something that doesn't have a huge latency, I can get away with using it live. It opens my world up to like thousands of plugins versus just several hundred plugins in Waves.
Right.
So sometimes I get the choice to find the actual like very specific tool that I need versus trying to like force other things to work for what I'm trying to do.
Awesome. Now on the Rivage, we've got a Neve front end, and you've got Silk Red, you've got Silk Blue, but looking back in the monitor world, we saw Rupert Neve Designs D8. What advantage are you having with having those units over just using what's actually in the console itself?
Super, super clean. Like what comes in comes out beautifully. Very, very little EQ needing to be done afterwards, which the Neve pre's that are built in with the console are also wonderful. These just give me a little bit more transparency, and then they also give me the ability to, if Monitors doesn't want to be on a Rivage system, they can be on a Digico, they can be on an Avid, and we can use the Dante network and still share head amps and keep Monitor World small. Also has the ability to do gain compensation if we really feel the need to. Currently on this tour we don't, because we just communicate with each other. It's a strange thing, both ends of the snake talking to each other. I highly recommend it. So yeah, like we just have the ability to stay flexible, and I think it's just overall just like another 10% better.
When you and I first started working, you were actually a systems tech or system engineer for 21 Pilots, and then you became front of house engineer for 21 Pilots, and now you're front of house out here. How long have you been doing this, and kind of what was your introduction into how we're standing here today?
So this is the end of my 18th year doing this. I was a systems engineer for, I guess the first few years I kind of did systems work, but I wouldn't have called myself a systems engineer yet. But no, so I was, a proper systems guy for probably 10 years before coming into doing, focusing on mixing front of house. And that, the big opportunity happened on 21 Pilots towards the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And ever since then, I've just focused on trying to mix and further my craft in that area. It's been I'm thankful for my time as an SE, because it helps me like you know, learn to manipulate, whether I'm supposed to be manipulating the speakers or the mix, or like being able to talk with my SE back and forth and have a conversation on what the best pathway forward is.
If you had to give someone advice as far as what would you do to get into the industry, or if someone is looking at you in this position, say, I want to be here, if you had any knowledge nuggets, because for me, I always feel like, I mean, I worked really hard to get into the industry, but a lot of it kind of feels like right place, right time.
Sure.
But if you had a quantifiable nugget of knowledge here, anything that you would throw out?
I mean, one of my old bosses used to say that they see you before they hear you. So, you know, being polite, having a good attitude, working hard, those things will always get you farther than being excellent at your gig. I mean, that's obviously the goal as well.
Right.
But a lot of times before you even have the chance to be excellent at your gig, people are already making decisions about you.
Right.
So that would be my little nugget.
Hey, that's great. Kenny, thank you for your time today. Excited to check out the show.